In ancient Greece, unity was a myth because what truly defined the Greek world was contrast, and nowhere was that contrast sharper than between Athens and Sparta. These were not simply rival cities, but fundamentally different systems of life, shaped by geography, necessity, and radically opposing values. Athens developed in Attica, a region with limited fertile land but excellent access to the sea, which naturally pushed it toward trade, naval power, and cultural exchange. Sparta, by contrast, controlled the fertile plains of Laconia and Messenia, allowing it to focus inward, building a rigid, land-based, and highly controlled society. In Athens, political evolution led to one of history's most influential experiments: direct participation of citizens in governance. By the 5th century BC, male citizens could debate and vote in the assembly, shaping laws, war decisions, and public policy firsthand. This system, though limited to free male citizens, created a culture where rhetoric, persuasion, and intellectual engagement became essential skills. Public life in Athens demanded not obedience, but argument. Sparta rejected this model entirely, developing instead a mixed constitution that balanced monarchy, oligarchy, and strict social control. Two kings ruled simultaneously, primarily in military and religious roles, while a council of elders and elected overseers maintained internal order. Where Athens encouraged debate, Sparta enforced discipline, and this difference shaped every aspect of daily life. From childhood, Spartan citizens were molded not into thinkers, but into soldiers. At the age of 7, Spartan boys entered the agoge, a state-controlled training system designed to produce endurance, obedience, and absolute loyalty. Education in Sparta meant survival, hardship, and preparation for war rather than philosophy or artistic expression. In Athens, however, education emphasized a broader ideal, combining physical training with music, literature, and philosophical inquiry. The goal was not merely strength, but balance, the development of both mind and body. This difference extended into the role of women, where Sparta again diverged sharply from the rest of the Greek world. Spartan women were granted unusual freedoms, including property ownership and physical training, because strong mothers were believed to produce strong warriors. Athenian women, in contrast, lived far more restricted lives, largely confined to the household and excluded from political participation. Their role was domestic, not civic. Economically, Athens thrived on trade, craftsmanship, and its powerful navy, which allowed it to dominate the Aegean Sea. Its port, Piraeus, became a hub of commerce, connecting Athens to Egypt, Persia, and the wider Mediterranean world. Sparta avoided trade and wealth accumulation, using iron bars as currency to discourage luxury and maintain equality among its citizens. Its economy relied heavily on the labor of the Helots, a subjugated population forced to farm the land. This dependence on Helots created a constant internal threat, forcing Sparta to remain militarized not only against external enemies, but against rebellion within. Fear, as much as discipline, sustained the Spartan system. Culturally, Athens became the intellectual center of Greece, producing philosophers, dramatists, and artists whose influence still shapes modern thought. Figures like Socrates challenged assumptions, while playwrights explored morality, fate, and human nature on public stages. Sparta, on the other hand, left behind far fewer cultural works because it valued action over expression and silence over debate. Its legacy was not written, it was lived. Despite their differences, both cities played critical roles in resisting external threats, particularly during the Greco-Persian Wars. At Battle of Marathon, Athens demonstrated the strength of its citizen army. At Battle of Thermopylae, Sparta demonstrated the extreme discipline and sacrifice of its warriors. Together, they preserved Greek independence, temporarily. Victory, however, did not bring unity, but intensified rivalry. Athens expanded its influence through the Delian League, effectively creating a maritime empire. Sparta viewed this growth as a direct threat to the balance of power in Greece. Tension escalated, alliances formed, and conflict became inevitable. The Peloponnesian War was not just a war between two cities, but between two ideologies. Naval power versus land dominance. Democratic dynamism versus oligarchic stability. Innovation versus tradition. The war lasted nearly 3 decades, exhausting resources, populations, and morale on both sides. Plague struck Athens, weakening it further, while Sparta adapted and persisted. In the end, Sparta emerged victorious, but the victory came at a cost that neither side could recover from. Greece as a whole was left fractured, vulnerable, and diminished. Neither system proved capable of sustaining long-term dominance. Athens was too divided, too dependent on empire. Sparta was too rigid, too resistant to change. Both, in different ways, reached their limits. Into this weakened landscape stepped Macedon, a rising power from the north. Under Philip II of Macedon and later his son Alexander the Great, Greece was unified, by force. The independence of the city-states ended, but their influence did not. Greek culture, language, and ideas spread across vast territories. Athens and Sparta, though diminished, became part of something larger. Their rivalry transformed into legacy. One represented intellectual exploration, political experimentation, and cultural expression. The other embodied discipline, endurance, and collective strength. Two extremes existing within the same civilization. And together they defined what it meant to be Greek. Not a single way of life, but a tension between opposites. That still shapes the world today.